I am great. I am great. I'm glad that you're doing well also. So now, people, we have a treat. She's a mouthful, and I'm going to take a breath and I'm going to try to introduce this mouthful. So, Catherine is the creator of the Dual Use Ventures Incubator that is housed at the MIT Innovative Initiative. She's also the creator of the Post 9/11 Military Women in Career Transition exciting Facebook page. That's where I met her at. She's also a veteran military officer. She is a new mother because I heard her baby the other day. She is a wife. She is a dear friend to many, and she is a mission-driven experience pusher. Didn't I tell you we had a mouthful here? Welcome again, lady. Welcome again.
Thank you. And thank you for the introduction.
So, Catherine, I want to thank you first for helping me to kickstart this military series. I have been, strolling along on Facebook and I see lots of different Facebook groups. I'm part of several different Facebook groups, but I love yours. I love how humble it is. I love how intimate it is. And I really wanted to get a chance to meet you and talk to you and allow you to share with our listeners. So if you could just do me a favor, the title of our show is From Successful to Significant. And success is optimum. I love significance. You had such a wonderful, wonderful bio. I'm going to be quiet here and I'm going to give you the opportunity to tell us about yourself.
Sure. So I run this incubator, this business incubator at MIT, but at the heart of me, I am a woman who's still transitioning from active duty service to the civilian world. And this is just part of my identity and likely part of yours as well, being a veteran. And so there's these layers in communities. I feel like I can go across through MIT campus, through Cambridge, Massachusetts, and beyond. And every once in a while, there's this sprinkling of veterans in there. And so I love this idea of trying to reach out to them and, all these cross sections of people within my ecosystem, just to connect on different things and to be able to bring each other up.
I like that. I like that. So, this is primarily a military audience. So today I'd like it if you could tell me about your successes and your missions of significance that you experienced while you was in the military.
Yeah, they never feel like successes. Like I can reflect back and I would never change a thing. I would never change going in. I would never change the mistakes. And so, I think some of us get lucky when we're in the military. And so I would say one of my key turning points for luck was working for a major on a brigade combat team staff when I was a captain. And he had gone to Harvard for a master's degree. And he knew that I was coming up on being able to go to grad school and the Army was going to pay for it.
Wow.
So he sent me aside and he said, I'm going to send you what program I recommend you apply to. And I would have never thought about applying to Harvard. And so this was just like, I applied, I got in, and I attended. And that never would have happened if I had not worked for this man.
Wow. Catherine, you are a Harvard graduate?
I went to the Harvard Kennedy School for graduate school.
Yeah. Wow. Didn't add that in the bio. Didn't bring you out with that. How wonderful is that? Wow. So now that you are no longer a service member, I do know that, individuals, they fear transitioning, not knowing what's out here. Could you talk to us a little about some successes that you've had since you've become a civilian, some successes or some missions of significance?
Yeah, so I think transitioning from the military takes a long time, right? It's like any kind of major loss in your life. And at the 1 year point, you feel like you're mostly recovered. And at the 2 year point, you realize you're way more recovered than you were at the 1 year point. And it keeps going on. And so I would say, I kind of, frankly, I thought I knew what I was going to do for my career when I
Mhm.
transitioned out. And I landed this job that seems like a great fit. And when I got there, it wasn't. And I stayed there for a year
Okay.
and, switched to a new role. And then a year later, switched to a new role. So I did 3 different jobs within the last 4 years, but it really took that kind of exploration and being open about what's out there and what you're willing to learn about, to find that perfect match. Like you can't always plan it out. It just kind of comes to you. It kind of falls in your plate. There's some serendipity and luck that's associated with it. And as long as you're making yourself available and yourself uh, with the right skills that are going to attract the hiring managers that are looking for you. As long as you're working on yourself, then it happens.
Heard you say as long as you're working on yourself, then it happens. So, what are some things that individuals who may be transitioning out of the military within the next 18 months, 2 years, what are some things that they might need to be looking at and considering right now?
I think one of the big things that I'd started kind of listening to but didn't fully internalize was, what is the job market when you go on the outside, and what interest do you have in those top 5 kind of skills, the things that people are hiring for. So when I think of that, I think of tech. I mean, I'm at MIT. I think of tech all the time, right? But engineering and IT and computer science, there are jobs everywhere and not enough qualified applicants. And so even if you're coming out and you don't have a lot of that experience, IT is a few certifications and some hard studying, but what an amazing job where you can hopefully turn on your computer 8 hours later, you turn it off and walk away and you're not taking it home with you.
Mm,
these
mm.
are these are wonderful jobs. They're high paying jobs. And I think I don't think we always give ourselves the benefit of the doubt that we're fully capable and technically oriented, and we can learn a new skill, and really it can be a great thing for ourselves and our families.
I heard you say that you have transitioned 3 times in the past 4 or 5 years from the military to your first position, from your first position to your next position. Tell me, did you have fears? And if you did have fears, what were they?
I think my problem was I should have had fears and I didn't.
You're fearless.
I think I left the military thinking I was much more higher ready than I really was. And, it takes time to learn how the civilian sector in different industries hire and how you get promoted and how you progress through a track. And each one is unique, and potentially each company is unique, right? So just kind of knowing that you have a lot to learn and a lot of new things to build, skills, certifications, all of that, and understanding what your trajectory could look like It just takes time.
Just takes time. It just takes time. It just takes time. So, like I said, I was introduced to you through your Facebook page. Can you talk to me about your Facebook page that I'm in love with?
Okay. So a few years ago, a friend of mine and I were talking, and we were thinking, how can we connect women who are on the cusp of departing the military and going into the civilian world? Because if I wish I had, when I got out and I moved to Boston, which there isn't a major Army base here. There's a major Air Force base, but not a major Army base.
Okay.
I wish that somebody could have sent me an email and said, oh, hey, you know what? I just got out a couple years ago too. Do you want to go grab a cup of coffee?
Mm.
That would have been amazing. And so I transitioned to one of these places where none of the people I was seeing on a regular basis were veterans. And they didn't really know what I was kind of going through. And it was a little bit of a shock. And so I was talking with my friend. She's in Detroit. She was also departing the Army. And we said, well, let's just start with a Facebook group, because there are so many opportunities and training programs and just resources for veterans, and they're really hard to navigate. And so here we are. It's 3 or 4 years later. We post. She's a PhD student and a full-time and reserve officer, so she's pretty busy. But we post, a couple times a week, 2 or 3 times a week, the different opportunities, the different free training programs, free. There's so many great virtual job fairs, all these different things, so that the group, it's about 300 strong, can go and peruse. And, when it's time for them to look, they can re-engage and come back. Or if they want to take a break, that's fine too. And people can talk about what has helped them.
What I like about the page is that I feel like it's really safe. I feel safe enough to be vulnerable there. I can say something there and not feel like, I'm being judged or somebody's going to come at me on the page. That's what I really appreciate about your page. Can you tell me about the Ventures Incubator? Can you tell me about what it is that you do at MIT?
Yeah, so I basically got hired there because I was an acquisitions officer in the military. And so I was bringing tech into major defense acquisitions programs. And so I was hired to do some research projects that revolved around this. But eventually we finished those research projects and needed a new business model to maintain a thread of defense in MIT. And so there's a ton of great startups coming out of MIT, and my executive director is an Air Force Reserve officer. So we were talking, and we thought, you know what, these STTRs, there's these programs for tech companies to apply for small contracts and kind of get in the door. And so we were using these that require a university partner, where we could bring on founders coming out of MIT who had never considered doing business with the Department of Defense, and introduce them to all of the administrative details and all of just the complexity of selling to the Department of Defense. And so we built a program on it. There's 3 cohorts each year. And it's been really fun to get to know all of these great minds, these postdocs in different kinds of science and engineering, doing these amazing things and bringing this great tech to the Air Force, mostly.
Wow. So it sounds like it's cool. It sounds like, you're no longer in the military, but you still get a chance to help other individuals that are, service related. I like that. Are you loving that?
I love it. And I didn't realize, I think when I left the military, I didn't think I wanted to do anything with DoD. And here I am, it's been 4 years. I've been doing this for a couple of years. It's perfect. Like I feel like I still have this purpose. I get to bridge, this great tech and get it into DoD. And I mean, it's just the right amount of military and civilian.
So you get to have both your worlds, work in concert with one another. How wonderful is that? I really like that. So what I'd like for you to do next is not necessarily, related to what it is that you do, but more so related to how I work with service members and other individuals. I'd like for you to give me your perspective on legacy.
I love this question because I've been thinking about it a lot as a new parent.
So it is related. She said, I am a parent. So it's specifically about me. Yes, it's specifically about you.
I know. So, I mean, I feel like it's so complex, and I would love somebody to tell me the answer. Like how and it's I've kind of like chiseled it down to parenting, but how can I raise a son who wants to help the world and do wonderful things and be a good community member and have his own joy as well. And I don't know how you do that. I think the only thing you can do is your best. You do your best at home and you show him what it can be like and how hard work is a rewarding thing and helping others is a rewarding thing. And I think that's it, because our programs will die, policies change, but the people are everything. I think that's all we can do.
You're right. You're right. You're right. Intentionally. That's all we can do intentionally. And that's wonderful to intend to do that. Talk to me about mission-driven work. Do you believe that what you do is mission-driven? Talk to me a little about mission-driven work and how what you do is related to that.
So I think that both facets of what we're talking about, both my work and also my passion project of the Facebook group, they're both mission-driven work. The Facebook group working with post 9/11 military women transitioning, like I'm just in this. I'm one of them. As they discover, I discover, and so we can all bring each other up and share and try to navigate this all together. And it's so important to feel like you're not just alone wherever you are in the US. And so I think this Facebook group really brings that together. And I think for work, it's mission driven because global national security is a grand challenge. So when I think of mission driven, I mean, we talk about mission driven innovation at the MIT Innovation Initiative, and it's solving a grand challenge. And that's food scarcity and water scarcity and global security. And so here I am trying to bring great technology to our Department of Defense so that we have national security and global security, hopefully for some kind of potentially, maybe it's unachievable global peace, but being a combat veteran, there's nothing more important than that.
Wow, you said a combat veteran. How awesome is that? So what you are doing is really mission driven. I appreciate you for doing what it is that you do. I really do. I'd like to talk to you a little about self-esteem. I've been working with some ladies here lately, and I don't believe that they totally comprehend. And maybe it's just, everybody has their own perspective. High achieving, smart, conscious women. Could you tell me what is a high achiever to you? How would you define someone who is high achieving?
Yeah. High achieving. I think we can go through life checking off boxes. We can make a lot of money. We can have whatever you think, when you're 18, when you put that list together, what success is. But really, you climb mountains to see other mountains. As we get older, we understand what really brings us joy and what really helps our world. And it takes these experiences to really get it. I remember a professor talking about, he was a Harvard Business School professor. He was talking about how he loves talking to the person next to him on the plane because he always learns something. And he has lived in Cambridge for I don't know how long, decades and decades. And he goes, but then I sat next to this is gonna sound bad. Then I sat next to this farmer and I was like, what is he gonna tell me? And he said that it was the most interesting conversation in his life. Like, you never know what everybody has, some niche, some perspective,
Right. Mm-hmm.
right? Some deep knowledge. And it's so different. And you can never discount somebody else's experience and knowledge. Nobody can know everything. And it seems like we revere the people who know the most about the least sometimes, right?
Right, right.
So we all have to work together. And so I think high achieving is really the ability to leverage and bring up others, and to learn from everybody, every single person.
I love how you said lift as you climb. I really like how you just broke that down. Tell me, what's your perspective on a smart, conscious woman?
Smart, conscious woman. I think it's important. A smart, conscious woman knows, what does she know? She knows that she's here to bring value to the world and to others and to raise up others. And that's it. I think that's it. Like, you can
That's a
do
mouthful. That's a lot. That would fill a cup. That's enough to have a cup overflowing. So I want you to now, you have cups overflowing all over my desk. I want you to overflow this pitcher. This water pitcher I have, I want you to think about the individuals that you left in the military. I want you to think about those high achieving, smart, conscious women. And I want you to inspire them to move forward in move forward in their lives, being the best that they can be. So how would you inspire them just to do that?
mm. I would tell them that you don't have to follow there is no path that's easy. Things find you, right? You can't go from step 1 to step 2 to step 3. Life's messy. But but somehow, as long as we're treating ourselves right and treating others right, things just have a way of working out and finding you in these opportunities. As long as you're open to them, then you're going to have that joy. You're going to help others, and you can help the world and help the universe.
I like that. Could you tell us one more time your Facebook page, your Facebook group, and how individuals can find you?
Yeah, so the Facebook group is called Post 9-11 Military Women in Career Transition. And they can search us and request to join. And we would love to have more women. It's only 300, so we have plenty of space for engaging women who can tell us about opportunities, things they've learned, and can help us all rise up.
Thank you so much for sharing with us today. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.